Hi, everybody. Mostafa Hosseini here. So today I'm talking about reading books, fiction versus nonfiction. As a business owner, should we, or as people in general, should we read fiction or nonfiction or a combination? So about a month ago, I was sitting down grabbing coffee with another business coach here in Calgary named Jared Stanton. And we started talking about books and what kind of books we read and what we don't read. And he mentioned something that really was valuable for me. And he said, we read too much nonfiction, too much how-to material, too much business information. 5 ways to do this, 21 ways to do that, 7 C's of this, and 4 D's of that. And it's just all this how-to stuff. And we have turned into an ocean of how-to knowledge, but we have a hard time making something out of it. We have a hard time putting it together. The solution, or rather the problem is because we don't activate our brain and our fantasy and our imagination enough to build something out of it. So his suggestion is we need to read more fiction to be able to activate our fantasy, activate our imagination, and tickle our fantasy and imagination so it gets going, because that's what our brain was made for. That's what separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom. We can think and create, they cannot, as much as we do. Now, I walked out of that meeting and started looking for a fiction book to read, because I also back in the day heard Jim Rohn saying the same thing. He goes, once in a while you got to read a fiction to, get your brain going, activate your imagination, and the rest of it. So I started searching because I had no idea what fiction I should read. Because last time that I read a fiction was probably 25 years ago. And that's when I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and my teenage uncle, who was about 9 years older than me, he was reading all these love novels from Daniel Steele. And, he was a teenager, all in love, and he was reading all those novels. So I remember when he was not home, I would sneak into his room, pick up the book, and I would start reading the book. And it was a real page turner for me. And then, so I was looking around, and I noticed that Daniel Steele was actually number 4 author in volume in the planet in the entire history. So I was like, well, I had a good experience with that. So I went and bought a book called Fall from Grace from Daniel Steele. And sure enough, it was about business. So, which was good. I liked it. It was business-like, and it was a novel, and it was a page turner. It was like, I think 300 pages, and I read in probably 5 days, which was my fastest reading speed ever. Okay. All these business books, some of them are like not easy to read. It's like, but a novel, if it's well written, it's a page turner. You have a hard time putting the book down. So I read it, and I noticed that I'm more comfortable when I'm reading the novel or the fiction. My brain is actually activated. I started right away. I'm coming up with new ideas because the imagination is going. Think about this, because the writer is describing what's happening, the entire scene, the person, what they look like, what they're wearing, how they're feeling, the colors, the light, the textures, the taste, the smell. They're describing every little thing, and you're imagining this whole thing, right? So it tickles your imagination. It tickles your fantasy. So I started alternating between fiction and nonfiction, and that's what I'm trying right now. I read one fiction, and then I read a nonfiction. Fiction, nonfiction, I'm going to try that probably for the next 6 months, and if it works for me, I'll just keep going that way. Then I read the book Origin from Dan Brown, which was really good. Again, another thick book, and I read it, I think, in 10 days. And right now I'm reading the book called Aragon, which is another good one. So my suggestion, start reading some fiction. Don't read all this too much how-to material. And I also, while I was at this, I remember that I read a quote from Einstein, and he says, "The gift of fantasy has meant more to me than my talent for absorbing positive knowledge." Right? So the gift of fantasy has meant more to me than the talent for absorbing positive knowledge, because it's always the fantasy and the imagination that helps people with the inventions, with the new ideas, come up with a new idea for a service, for a product, right? It's always the fantasy and the imagination that makes that up. And also, reading the fiction allows you to give yourself and your brain a break and to exercise what you learned and make something out of all those nonfiction stuff that you've read, right? So really good. It also allows me to describe better. I'm becoming more descriptive and getting better at describing what's happening, right? As I'm starting to read. So I really like that. And I suggest that you guys start reading some fiction and mix it up as well. So in the comments, tell me what was your favorite fiction that you read. What are you reading right now, and what are you going to read later? So also this week, I decided to offer a free coaching session to my network. Against what all my coaches are telling me that I shouldn't offer a free coaching session, I'm just trying that. So I'm offering a free Supercharge Your Sales and Profits coaching session through which we will tackle your number one challenge, find out what we need to do to fix it, find out what is the number one challenge that is sabotaging your way to success, and create a plan for that. You'll walk out of this coaching session re-energized and inspired to take your business to new levels and achieve new heights in 2018. Usually we offer these at $500 a pop, but this week you can get it for free. It's a no strings attached, no obligation coaching session. Obviously, if you like me and you think that I can help you, we start working together. And if not, then you walk away with a plan and take your business to new levels. If you're interested to claim your free coaching session, click on the link below in the descriptions of the video, fill out a form. On that form, I ask you a few questions to know more about you and your business and what's happening. And so I can get ready for the coaching session and I can provide solutions for you and help you with your business. Hope this helps. Looking forward to reading your comments about the kind of books that you're reading and what you're going to read next. And I look forward to our coaching session together. Mostafa Hosseini, your business and marketing coach. Have a great week.